Hey YouTube, finally getting the Benchmade 87 done today. Well, the review that is. Um, so, to be honest, I've been wanting to do this review for a while. I've almost had this knife a week now, and I've had quite a few people asking about it. Um, and to be honest, I'd be curious as well, had I not been irresponsible and spent all the money on one. So, I tried to get it in a few days ago, and things didn't work out. My laptop didn't want to cooperate, and neither did my freaking GoPro. So, we're trying again today. Hopefully it works. I'm going to talk about the fit and finish on this thing. I'm going to pull up a chair while I do it as well. First, and then I'll kind of go into flipping and some other stuff on it. So, anyway, the Wharncliffe Benchmade 87. You pretty much either, I got a nice round number for my first production number too. If I can hold the damn thing steady, number 240. Their first production marking is really nice and small too. Now I like it. So anyway, the blade, you pretty much love it or hate it, is what it seems like. I personally am neither, and it seems like most people are hating this blade shape. I like that it's different. I don't particularly like this blade style, but I like that it's different. But it's pretty cool because they're legal here in Arizona. So I carry mine every day, and all the non-flippers, all my coworkers, all my friends, family that I've been showing, they think the blade shape's badass. So it's just the balisong community that thinks this is ugly. So it's pretty funny. But anyway, the grind lines are very nice on this. They come almost all the way up, almost a full flat grind. And it looks really good the way they did it. I like it. I like it a lot. The entire spine is crowned, and even this part here is crowned, which just adds to the fit and finish of the knife. I like it. I like the way it looks. Dog's crying. Lay down. Hornless bali. I love the hornless bali. I like the way it looks. I like the way it is on the AB. I've seen people grind the horns off their 51s and reps, and it looks so nice. The blade flows right into the handles. It looks really good. I think Holmes are pretty much the only knives that I like horns on, and it's just the way he does his horns that they look really good. The tang pins are very cool. If they ever do loosen up on you, which they shouldn't because Benchmade freaking red Loctite's everything now. Yes, red Loctites. If you don't believe me, look it up. After 2016, that's what they've done. And I should know. I had to take a grinder to my 62 to get that fucker apart. Anyway, if they ever do loosen up, the tang pins are Torx tools. So they're basically like a thumb stud off of a Benchmade folder. Each side threads into each other, and you can just tighten them up, which I think is an ingenious idea. You don't have to worry about press fitting them. Benchmade doesn't have to worry about press fitting them into a blade later, so it's very cool. The handles are done. They're obviously channel. If you didn't know, full channel out of a billet of titanium, not cast. So they've got this bead blast finish on it, and I've never had bead blasted titanium before. I really like the way it looks, and if you've ever seen it used, because I know a lot of people were concerned that bead blast gets marked up easily because it's just basically a million little dimples in the metal. So it does get marked up kind of easily. I think I've got a few light scratches on it. I haven't tortured this thing yet. But to be honest, the bead blast finish looks really cool. Once it gets that used, beat up kind of patina, it looks nice. I don't know, it just gives it character. So why buy a knife and just to keep it pristine? I don't do safe queens. I don't believe in them. So anyway, moving on, the pivots run on ball bearings rather than bushings or washers or anything, which is really cool. I haven't flipped anything on bearings until now, and it makes it really smooth. There's almost no friction to the handles. They swing very freely, and being this channel titanium, since they're a little bit heavier, they really want to swing free. They really want to keep moving. It makes it really nice, but it makes it a little bit weird at first too. It definitely takes some getting used to just transferring to ball bearings. Not a whole lot, but just because the handles are so free, they just with a little bit of momentum, they want to keep moving. And it takes, so like on something, definitely momentum-based moves, like behind the 8-ball, it's really nice. But when you're doing something like a full twirl, because it's a little bit heavy, it's a little bit more difficult to stop and get going the other way. And then a little bit of that also is because this blade is so big, it's a little bit blade heavy. And doing something just like as simple as a chaplain, it kind of wants to get away from you. You kind of have to adapt to the way it chaplains and everything. Anyway, back to the ball bearings. Should stay on point here. As another weird thing is you can feel them rumble around in there, which is really weird. I've never felt anything like it. It's pretty cool. You can feel the ball bearings moving, rolling. It's interesting. The knife definitely has a really cool ring to it. Some of it's from the latch hitting the handle, and then it's from the blade hitting the handle too. I love the sound this thing makes. Almost like a squid trainer if you've ever flipped one. Speaking of the latch is really, really cool. I really like it. I'm bummed about it a little bit. I'll go into that. But it's almost like a spring latch, you know, on the 4X Springer series. Stays right out of the way, goes right back to where you want it, and it locks up with a purpose. It's serious. It's really cool. Whether you lock it in the closed or the open position, it really locks down in there. And you just give the handles a squeeze and it pops right out. It's great. But I took it apart and flipped the knife without it, and I have to say, it flips a lot better. I've never been able to tell a difference in a knife by taking the latch or the pocket clip or anything like that off. I know a lot of people say, oh, it throws off the balance and blah, blah, blah. I never have bought into that because I've never been able to feel it. The latch simply gets in my way. The pocket clips don't. I can choker fan with a pocket clip. So people giving that argument, I think, are ridiculous. But anyway, whatever, to each their own. So this knife, though, you can definitely tell because this latch fills up this entire area here that you don't see. So the latch itself is big. Then you've got the sex bolts, obviously, to hold the latch in. But then there's a magnet on the latch and on each side of the sex bolt for a total of 3 magnets. So you got 3 magnets, the sex bolt, and the latch. So it's a lot of extra weight on the end of one handle, and you can tell a difference in the weight of the handles, and definitely, I mean, just something simple as fanning. It makes a huge difference when you take the latch off. So, I mean, it flips better without the latch, and I really like it. I was really bummed. I want to keep it off now, and I'm probably gonna keep it off. But they did do a really cool thing there. Before I go into flipping a little bit more, I want to go into their silly little pouch, which, to be honest, I think is cool. It looks really nice. It's gray. It looks just like the knife. You know, it fits well, and it holds the knife great. The R87 in particular. It holds other knives as well, because Benchmade it fits all the other Benchmade balis, and it does. The 87 it holds really well because it is a little bit wider. Thing I was bummed about it is the way they want you to secure it to yourself. See these loops on the back? They give you 2 strips of Velcro. I mean, I know what they designed this pouch off of because they've said it. They wanted they got their idea from a concealed carry magazine pouch. which I have one right here, and I want to show you, just because this is my concealed carry magazine pouch. It goes into my waistband, and it clips on the outside of my waistband with this metal clip. I mean, how simple would it be? I mean, obviously it didn't have to be this big, but they could have put a little metal clip on it. You, of course, couldn't have worn it horizontally, and actually, you probably still could have if you stuck it in your belt loop, but, or if they did it to where it would rotate, I don't know. I think it'd be a little less gimmicky with a metal clip than two pieces of Velcro. Needless to say, I do use it. I just throw it in the sleeve and throw it in my pocket, whatever. But, you know, they were so excited about that freaking pouch, and I was kind of excited because the way they hyped it up, and then that's all it came out to be, and it was a little bit disappointing. Anyway, so the knife, I kind of talked about it already. Talked about its flipping ability. That was terrible. Because of the ball bearings, and because it's a little bit heavier, it swings really freely. But the blade is a little bit heavy compared to the handles, so the balance, it is definitely a blade bias knife. People have said that the original Alpha Beast and the original Blade Alpha Beast and like the replicant are a little bit blade heavy. This is the only replicant I've ever flipped, so I don't know if the solid scales throw it off a little bit different. But if you think a replicant is blade heavy, you are definitely going to think the 87 is blade heavy. It is super blade heavy. I'm not trying to say that to scare anyone away, but I've just never felt this to be blade heavy. I can do chaplains really quick and really easy on this thing, you know. But doing rolls, doing chaplains, doing stuff like that on the 87, it just takes a little bit more, I don't know how to say it, awareness, I guess. You just got to get a little bit of a different feel for it, because it's a totally different knife. I can't compare this knife. I have 12 Balis in front of me, other than the 87 right now, and a freaking BB bar fly, and I can't compare it to any one of them. Benchmade did a really good job. They've made something very unique. I like it. I like the way it flips. I like the way it feels. It's its own thing. And I think that's one of the beauties of flipping anyway, is getting to try everything, you know. This might not be for everybody, and if you're kind of on the fence about it, hopefully I've said something that kind of sways you one way or the other. But if you're not, if you're still kind of on the fence, especially for the price, $5.10, if you think you're gonna like it, you're probably gonna like it. To be honest, I don't see that many people disliking it anyway. And for $510, you know, the MAP price, it's totally worth that. But it is a full production knife, and there will be people that don't like it, and there will be people that will be modding them and selling them secondhand. And if you wait for them to sell secondhand because it's full production, it's never going to resell for that, unless it's decked out modded, which, you know, then that might be a whole different thing. But just a regular stock 87, you know, resale, you might save yourself $100. So if you're on the fence, wait for it then. But to be honest, I like it the way it is. I definitely won't be modding this one. Maybe if I get a second one someday, I'll mod it, or you know, if they come out with a different blade shape. Because let's get real, that's a big blade. That's a lot of blade for any modders to work on. That's a huge blank canvas for them. And if they take a little bit of the blade off, take a little bit of the weight away, the balance will be a little bit better. And at that point, I think it'll be an even better flipper than it is now. But this knife, the way it is, it's definitely a good flipper. It was made for flipping. It wasn't made, you know, like the 6X series, which obviously wasn't made for flipping. So I'm going to take the latch off really quick, and I'm going to bore you guys while I do it, but I want to kind of show you a comparison to some of my other balisongs, and it's hard because the receiving side of the latch, it just gives you a weird visual. You can't really tell, but because one thing not only myself but some others were concerned about, a lot of people, and curious about, is how wide is the thing. Oop, there goes one of the magnets. So give me a second, guys. I was gonna show you. Well, I lost one of my magnets. I'll find it later. But I was gonna show you. So there's a magnet on the latch. That's the big old latch. Then there's a magnet on each side of the sex bolt, which I lost one of those. Basically how it works, if you haven't really figured it out, is there's a magnet on each side, then the magnet into the latch, and they're negative polarities. So it's like pushing, it's like getting two magnets and trying to push them together, and you can't. You've got that invisible wall. That's exactly how it works. So there it is. I found it. That was going to drive me nuts. It's very comparable to my Alpha Beast. You know what? That one's chewed up on the end. Let's get one that's not. So here's my premium Alpha Beast. Show you the size. It is a little bit wider, but it's about the same, thickness. But it is a little bit wider. It's not bad, and I thought it was going to feel worse than it does, but it doesn't. It doesn't feel bad at all. I'll show you my replicant just in case you have a rep and not an Alpha Beast. This is it compared to my rep. Let me see if I can do them closed. Might be a little easier. So rep's a little bit fatter, obviously. But once again, the 87 is not much wider than the rep. And I'll compare it to a 51 just for kicks. There it is to my little miniature 51. Obviously blows that out of the water. So, I mean, those should be some pretty good reference points. If you don't know what any of those are, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I guess a home, but if you've got a home, I'm sure you've got one of the others. This is my titanium basilisk. So, titanium basilisk, a little bit fat, but it's right on par. I mean, it's a little bit different. It's its own thing, but it's right on par. It's not, substantially crazy one way or the other. Man, it feels so much better without that latch. I can tell a huge difference already. So one thing I do think it gives you a little bit of a false rating is because let's work with the safe handle. It's where the slots are, it's a little bit thinner, and where the holes are, it juts out a little bit. It juts out down toward the bottom too. Granted, you do feel those when you're flipping because it is thicker on both sides, so the width does change. But I thought these were going to be a bigger of a problem, but they're very subtle. They look a lot more subtle than they are. I'm sorry. They look a lot less subtle than they are. They're there, you can feel them, but only enough to help your grip. It doesn't get in your way, it doesn't bother you while flipping. Although, I mean, if it really did, if you really didn't like the way it looked or anything, it might, number one, help reduce weight. If you got it modded, shave those off. It might look cool too. And it might make the handles a little bit thinner if that's what you like. This way, less wide. But anyway, the slots are actually really nice for flipping. They did a really good job on these because they've got that chamfer around the edges, that countersinking on those slots, and you really get a positive grip when you're flipping. it gives you something really good to grip onto when you're either choking up on that knife or even when you're down, doing stuff on the end of the handles. It gives you a really nice grip, a really positive feel. It doesn't feel like it's going to fly out of your hands. It doesn't feel like you're going to lose control or anything. Which, something on my, I'll say my rep, because it's got these solid scales. When I do stuff like that, it just feels weird because it's got these solid scales, so it doesn't always feel secure in my hands. But the 87 does. It definitely does. It's really nice. So anyway, hopefully I haven't too many times. I hate doing that every time I go to watch a video and I sit there and listen to myself go it drives me freaking nuts, but I can't help it because a lot of the stuff I do it off the top of my head. I've tried to write it down and stick to a script, but I still sit there and go I need a freaking teleprompter is what I need. Anyway, I hope I've answered a lot of questions. I hope you've got something out of this that you didn't know about the 87, or I hope I've helped somebody, and I hope my flipping is mostly in frame. But there it is again. Anyway, there's the 87. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want to see more, particularly what you want to see. And I don't know. Have a great one, guys. Thanks for watching.